And here we are at Thunderbolt Models shop. Might as well give everybody another look at the glorious display that we have brought and put on here at the Abingdon exhibition. Okay. You might think we'd be annoyed about the amount of times we're getting interrupted, but actually it just goes to show what a well-attended event this is. Now, here we are in the cafeteria, where we see another series of layouts and also other vendors at the event. What I particularly like about this, the way it's been laid out, is there's a lot of space, so it's able to cope nice and easily with the large numbers of people who've been here today. Just when you think that you may well have sated your curiosity, a long corridor on the side of which are a series of rooms with more layouts.
It's funny, you see?
So hopefully that's given you a good introduction to or overview as to what is here, and now we're going to go and have a quick look at a couple of things that caught my eye.
The town of Valley Road with all his drawings.
Hi. Now I'm here with Phil, who built the layout that you've just had a little look at. It's called Corwenna. What caught my eye about this one is the wonderful weathering that makes everything look realistic and as though it is the dirty clay place that it's depicting. So Phil, perhaps could you just talk us through how you came up with the idea and how you managed to do all the weathering?
Well, the layout originally, I've got another layout at home which is Settle Carlisle, so
right.
This is about as far away as you can get in Cornwall. But I always had a bit of a love affair with these little BT well tanks. As a teenager, saw them down at Wadebridge.
Right.
And when when Kernray decided to make one, I thought I've got to have a layout for these locos. So it started with that, and then the layout has inspired. There's quite a few clay layouts. There's a guy, Ian Rice, who's passed away recently.
Right.
He had a about half this size, which was called To Rise, and that inspired me. So I basically then I've been in hospital and I thought I'll do some buildings. I haven't built any buildings for years, so I built the main clay dry building. That was what kicked it off. And then
Now, obviously, there isn't a model kit that makes the clay building.
No.
So, how did you? Is that literally built from scratch?
Yes.
Wow.
It's foam board and plasticard,
Right.
covered with dashed clay, and then you scribe the stones. And you need to get a life before you do that.
Now, the stone, is that on flat paper or is it actually?
No, but that's dashed clay, which is you roll it out very thin, and then you stick it on the PVA.
Okay, right, yeah.
And then when it's set, you can sand it down a bit. It doesn't come off, which amazed me. And then you scribe the stones, but
Wow.
don't think you do it all in one go. You do about 2 square inches and then go to the pub, I would suggest.
I'm amazed if anybody was able to do that and stay married.
Yes, well, you will see some people, there's a little bit of brickwork around the windows.
Yes.
And there are some people who do a whole building, and I just can't see the point. But anyway, that's what the main buildings are.
Yeah.
And then the weathering, which seems to have taken your eye, is nothing more than a Halford's car rattle can primer white.
Wow.
But you can overdo it. I've seen several layouts where it's been overdone.
Yeah.
So you sort of stand back, do a bit, and leave it to dry off because it goes much whiter.
Because what I really like is when we look at those 5 wagons there, there are no 2 that are the same intensity, which is of course where it would
Yes,
be.
yeah. No, and they're weathered with just, I say, white car primer basically.
Right.
Bit of weathering powder here and there, but
And how about the water in the water tank?
that's just varnish.
Just varnish.
Yeah.
Okay.
The water tank is a model of the real thing that was on. It's modelled on various bits and bobs from the Wenford Bridge branch. It's not a model of the Wenford, but the water tower, the cabin, the little cottages are all what came off the Wenford Bridge line. The cottages you can still see today at Helen Bridge.
Wow. But actually, I really like that. The idea that it's not trying to be exactly as it was.
Well, if I did the clay dries at Wenford Bridge, you wouldn't get them in this room. They're about half a mile long.
Right.
So but it's very much foreshortened, but it's just a sort of, an example of the various buildings.
Yeah. And I mean, I love the little details like the vegetable patch.
Yeah.
With the runner beans and things like that. I take it that pretty much you've just made all of those little bits from
just
scratch.
bits of scenic material. I've had a look today. There's I think it's a German made. You can buy the vegetables, but the leeks are about 8 feet high. The cauliflowers are 6 feet in diameter, and they look very plastic. So he doesn't want to zoom in too far because they are basically just little balls of scenic material on a dab of paint.
Now, is there anything that we haven't touched upon that you think is particularly worth mentioning about the layout?
No, I think we've covered most of it. The back scene I've had 1 or 2 comments on. That's just hand painted. It's on 3mm MDF. I haven't done any painting since I was at school. But got a friend who does it professionally, and he said, "Oh, here's some oil paints, have a go."
Yeah, and you painted them. Wow,
Yeah.
They are brilliant.
Yeah, well, that's about the 4th effort. It's a bit like bricklaying. The more you do, the better it gets.
Listen, Leonardo da Vinci had to have a few goes.
So, but the main thing with that is keep it simple. And once again, it can be too bright, but a quick spray over with the old rattle can and it dulls it down.
Right, okay. Well, look, thanks very much.
Yeah.
And that is Cool Weather.
Okay, thanks.
I'm grabbing more water.
Hi. What a layout. And this is the second one that has caught my eye, although actually, to be fair, it caught my eye before I saw the others. So, please introduce yourself and tell us how on earth you came up with this.
Okay, yeah, well, my name's Chris Mead. This is my layout, Overlord. It's its 30th anniversary this year. It started off initially as a model of the HMS Bluebell Matchbox Bluebell model. And I got a book on Southampton, the preparations for D-Day. And it showed you railways in a maritime setting supporting the war efforts and the invasion of Normandy. From then it's just really grown on from that really as we've learned more about it. and until you see what it is today.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it is the detail, and it's. I mean, the railway, frankly, is almost incidental to the whole layout.
Well, yeah. Originally, it was a simple shunting layout that was just 12 feet long.
Right.
And it would fit in the back of 2 cars, one of which was a hatchback. But when we started, there was a lot of people who had first-hand memories of these events, actually participated in them.
Right.
People would come along and say, I was on that ship, I drove a tank like that. That landing craft put me ashore on Juno 20 minutes after D-Day, HR on D-Day. And as we say, exhibited, we were getting more and more information, more and more stories and things to do, so that it kept us going, gradually adding detail to the small bit. Then eventually we had enough information to do an extension, and this is the extension that you see today. So that's how it went from 12 feet to its current size of 37 feet.
So when did you actually start building?
Building started in really 1992. So it started for about 2 years just before the first exhibition.
Wow.
And the first exhibition was in 1994. By that time I'd built the Flower class corvette. My father had retired, and one of his projects was to build a ship similar to the one that he did his national service on, and that's HMS Granville, which is the destroyer in the centre, and that's fully radio controlled. So on a Sunday mornings I'm usually in Battery Park sailing that on the lake there, as with the Liberty ship. And as I say, it's we've not tired of it yet, and it's because other people haven't tired of it and have been gracious enough to share their thoughts and stories and suggestions with us, and we just keep going on, enjoying what we're doing and hopefully bringing enjoyment to others.
Now, I take it, because I joked with you earlier that when you told me that you'd started 30 years ago, and I said, oh, and you finished on Tuesday, hopefully.
No.
So when will it ever be finished?
I don't know. It'll be finished when we're bored with it, if that makes sense. You know, when there's nothing left to do.
Yeah.
And we no longer enjoy coming to shows like this, and the public no longer enjoy looking at it.
Now, one of the things that particularly caught my eye, and I think is just fantastic, is all the information and the pictures of things that we're seeing in the model at the time in the black and white pictures, and the information. So, I mean, there's a lot of knowledge that's going into this, and so anybody who's not really been taught about it can do a lot. Can you tell us what this thing here is?
All right, this overgrown cotton reel is something called Pluto, pipeline under the ocean. And on there you see a representation of 90 miles of 6-inch steel tube. And this was laid between the Isle of Wight and Cherbourg to transport fuel for the vehicles, because obviously the great thing about D-Day and what you see here is the logistical support and planning that went into it to enable the invasion to take place and enable them to advance out of Normandy up along northern France to Belgium and Holland. To do that, they needed vast amounts of fuel and material and ammunition. One part was trying to use Pluto, this pipeline, to provide that fuel. They laid 3 pipes to Cherbourg, and to be honest, they were of limited success there, but as they advanced through, they laid another dozen pipelines between Dungeness and Calais later on, and they were very, very successful. And an incredible engineering feat, and a lot of the lessons learned from Pluto were applied to current modern day oil pipeline technology. So it's a lot of modern pipeline technology can trace its roots back to Pluto.
Right. Now, when we look down the model and we look at all the buildings that you've got, an awful lot of those do not look as though
For the eyes.
Would I be right in that?
Yes. There's a couple of them that are kit bashed from a company called Architect and Walters, but in the photographs and books that we have, there's certain buildings that are so, recognisable.
Yeah.
That you wanted to try and do a representation of that. So if you're working up from the bottom, the first half of it is really based on Southampton.
Yeah.
And so the key buildings there are the southern arch at the very end that is the entrance to the Fiddle Yard. The
right.
Berth 101, which is the warehouse, again, very recognisable. Coming on to the next area, we've got the buildings from the Portsmouth area. And so you have the warehouse that's opposite Victory, the block mills that was the machinery building that was created to mass produce the blocks that ships like Victory needed, and then also the rope mills. Again, that was there to make all the ropes and rigging that ships of the line of Nelson's Day needed. You also have, talking about Pluto, one unique one here is the Brown's Ice Cream Parlour, which was commandeered as a pumping station for Pluto. They commandeered their constables on the Isle of and put all the pumping equipment into there for Pluto.
Right.
And the cover story for all the mysterious pipe work that appeared overnight, that the owners were putting in a new sprinkler system for the greens. Whether people believed it or not, I don't know.
Well, I have to say, it looks as though you have plundered a fair number of toy shops and and children's, or shall I say, ex-children's collections of stuff.
Yes, it's been quite fun. It's almost like hunting down all the different variations of vehicles that you can find, particularly the soft skins. So it wasn't just about the armour, but it was all about the lorries and the trucks and the small lorries and all that kind of small, seemingly insignificant but oh so vital rolling vehicles that were required to enable the armies to progress.
Now, obviously, we could keep going for hours and hours, and we can't.
And so could I.
Is there anything that we haven't gone through so far that you're particularly either proud of, or it was really, really difficult and you're pleased with the way it came out?
I suppose the one that I like the most is obviously the landing ship, the LST.
Yeah.
We talked about it initially being a small layout, and we extended it. The reason we extended it is that we came across a photograph. We were given a photograph of wagons being loaded into a landing ship, which was very, very strange. And somebody said, "Oh, I bet you can't do that, Chris." So it took me 2 years to actually build the landing ship from plasticard. And then once that had done, then we decided to build the extension to do it. So yes, that's the one that I'm pleased of most. I know I was again fortunate that one of those is actually still preserved over in the States, in Evansville, Indiana. And I've been fortunate to go around it a couple of times itself, so yes.
Well, the thing is, I've slept in some of those Nissan huts, and I'm just staggered by how accurate, and I mean, I could almost smell them, because by God, they did smell.
I can imagine they'd have their own particular aroma after a while.
Yes, it wasn't one you could sell.
No.
Well, look, thank you very, very
You're
much,
welcome.
and hopefully you can make the November exhibition in Coventry.
Family commitments, notwithstanding, yes.
Yeah, I know. Look, we've made sure you've got that on film.
Yes. That will help.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, well, look, thanks very, very much.
No, seriously, thank you very much. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. I'm glad it's been of interest.
Oh, thank you.
It's been good fun.
I know, honestly.
Every one of them's got, I could have a story about every single one.
The layout, yes, was designed to slope down towards the front. This way, with assistance to people in wheelchairs, disabled, to be able to see the layout. As you can see, where the bridges are, there are 5 bridges there. It gradually climbs back up. And as a person sitting in a wheelchair, they can clearly see the loco passing over the bridge, which, as you see in this case, is the Flying Scotsman.
Right.
The tunnels towards the far end were designed to give the impression that they were curving away into the distance, underneath the farmyard. You don't actually see the other end of them. They curve away, and they were designed not to be like you see on some layouts, very flat. So they're just going through a piece of wood. We wanted to create the impression they're disappearing. With scenics above them, the farmyard sitting to one side of them with the cow shed and everything else at the top there. Coming down to this end of the station, again we went for the station throat. That's by being able to bring stock in there and avoid platforms. At the same time bring stock through again to hold at the signals. This end waiting to depart to which route the other end of the layout they were passing.
Right, can you tell me a little bit about some of the buildings? Because I was particularly taken by the 5 houses just in front of the viaduct, and also by the engine sheds at this end.
Yes, certainly the 5 houses down by the viaduct there. The gentleman who built these, Trevor, he decided, yes, he built one house, and then he said, that's the house, it's a detached property, second from the top, which had all the ground to it, and he says, right, what I will do is build additional houses and have sold bits of the land off. So hence you get these different style properties all the way up the hill. Coming down to the roof over the top of the station building here, or the station platforms as I should say, this again was built by somebody who specialises in quantity surveying and building model products for when they're doing a development. And he sat down and he worked at this using sheets of plastic card, strips of plastic card to build the louver vents at the top. You see the walkways, the steps up, all these are individually pieces of material he's used to construct it. He then painted it to give it the realistic weathered green look you get on the station.
Because I love the skylights in there. Because when I first looked at it, I didn't realise they were skylights. And I think, well, you don't in most stations anyway.
I say, to get the green mossy appearance you get, because they never clean the roof. Unlike today, where sometimes because they spent millions cleaning the roofs and Pancras. In this case, this shows what it would have been like where they just leave the roofs as they were. British Rail never went out to the way to let the light in. But again, it throws, when you follow the scenery around, you've got a row of cottages which step down along the back. And again, the person who built these worked out the right height between each cottage, stepping all the way down to the gradient of the hill of the road going down there. So the layout is very much built on different levels. There is actually 5 levels of baseboards underneath all this. Hence why you get this sort of, it's almost like a well or some self-traffic way of
No, I understand,
And you can see the right way back up. And you've got the different heights, the different level of buildings, everything. It just, it's not flat.
Oh, that's what caught my eye.
It's not flat baseboards, as this should say.
Now, when we were talking earlier, we discussed some of the electrics, and I see that all the signals are working, etc., and the lights beyond. But you were talking about a magic box that made a lot of it happen.
The magic box with the lights is the coloured light signals are all interlinked through themselves into their own setup. So when this train passes the signal here, which are at the moment on red, the lights will then go from green back to red. And likewise, the one down the tunnel then will go to red. As soon as that train goes through the tunnel, usually a couple of seconds after it's been through the tunnel, all of these hopefully at the top there, which normally these will go back to the automatic to follow on, but they can be overridden at the back. There's a control panel at the back where you can say, right, I want to set them all to red because I'm doing some movements in the yard to take the automatic out. This helps the operators not to worry about the signals on the whole. Like the one down the bottom is now changed back to yellow,
Oh, right, yeah.
and in a moment it will then change back to green automatically.
Right.
Now if they change the points at the bottom where the junction is,
Yeah.
that green light would go out, and the one which is showing red at the moment will go into green because you're going through that route.
Yes.
So it follows through to the fiddle yard.
Yep.
You know you've got a clear route into the fiddle yard, you won't derail. It's building small things like that to help the operators when they're at a show, that they're not tied up with throwing switches left, right and centre. Is to try and make the thing more user-friendly. You can overcomplicate a layout with having lots of section switches, lots of other switches on there to do those things, which people have to be taught how to use them. But by making it as much automatic, it cuts out that. And all they're doing is operating the locos of rolling stock.
Well, look, all it says, thank you very, very much, because I love seeing what has been created here, because in my mind I can remember not as complicated, but something that looks like that.
Yes, where you've got the line like with the
yes.
Great Central at Rugby, you used to have the viaduct going over the West Coast Main Line at Rugby Station.
Right.
And it's very much like there was a girder bridge on Great Central which took the line from where it starts in London across the West Coast Main Line at Rugby over the girder bridge, and then on up towards Nottingham, Great Central. So this was based around Burton-on-Trent, a secondary line, which gave us the flexibility over rolling stock. What we could run with, we weren't tied to one particular region, because it's the Burton-on-Trent line covers, it goes from South Wales right up to the northeast. It's a real cross-country route. So,
Right. Well, look, thank you very, very much, and hopefully see you in November.
will do. All the best. Thank you. And I'll let you know this. So that's it from the Abingdon and District Model Railway Club. I hope that you enjoyed it. I cannot wait to see some of those layouts again, particularly, if I'm honest, the Southampton D-Day one. Okay, bye-bye. Right, so it's all coming to an end now. It has been a fantastic exhibition, and congratulations to the organisers, the Abingdon and District Model Railway Club. Fantastic, fantastic exhibition. What has set this apart for me is that the people who are coming were a really good laugh, and also they stayed until the end, and it meant that none of the exhibitors actually packed up early and left, neither did any of the vendors. A really good, well-run exhibition, and if you want to go to an exhibition, I would seriously recommend this one for next year. Cheers.